Boundaries. What are they? How do we live them out? It's Mark Avery Davis, and I want to thank you for joining me for a few moments here as I talk about something that is very confusing to most men, this idea about boundaries. What are they? How do I set them? What does it mean? And I want to share because it was inspired by a comment I received to a recent video where a man had said he'd been in a 4-year-long toxic relationship that finally ended, but he's having challenges because he still has to see this person. And I thought about all the pain that represents. I mean, first of all, you got out of something you knew was a toxic relationship, meaning harmful, demeaning to you, disrespectful, and yet you still have to see this person. And my first comment was, it's difficult. It's not an easy road. A little self-reflection is required because you want to have a healthy relationship going forward. So where was the mismatch? What happened? What created something that later you look back and feel was a toxic relationship? And the simple answer is we compromised. And I've seen this myself as a No More Mr. Nice Guy coach. I teach on this topic of nice guy syndrome. And the nice guy syndrome is basically one where we avoid conflict. We don't like confrontation. We want everyone to like us, but we don't often know how to ask for what we want or what we need. So we try to arrange circumstances to get it without having to directly ask for them. And then, of course, we're obviously disappointed often because we can't speak up for what we truly want. And we put up with a lot of things that we negotiate with to have peace in a relationship. And it's never satisfying for anybody. The woman has to take on the masculine role and dominate and lead because she doesn't feel the security of your walls as the masculine. And again, I love this model I got from one of the Ukrainian ladies I interviewed. He said, how do you see the role between men and women? And her comment was, the woman is the softness, the warmth, the spirit of the home, the one to care for those inside. And anybody who comes into the home, they will feel hospitality and warmth. And the man is the castle walls to protect that. And the woman doesn't feel the castle walls protecting. She has to stand up and keep testing the man to say, please be stronger, be stronger. But nice guys, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to respond to that. We take it as an insult, a personal challenge to us personally, and we act defensively. And so the first thing I would say on this is acknowledge it. That's what you first have to do. And I was encouraging this man to review what you would do differently. And doing differently would mean having a vision for the relationship, how you want the interaction to be, how you want it to interact with her, how you want the feelings. And again, I'll say this to my dying day when I talk about romantic relationships. The idea of a romantic relationship is, first of all, that it's romantic. And I want to get out of these roommate-like relationships. And so you have to set the lead as the man to be able to say, come back to her and say, look, we're in this together. I picked you, you picked me for a reason. And if we're the ones who exclusively want romance, this relationship, then how can we make it as great as possible? How can we keep romance as the focus? And that anything that comes up is a distraction. We want to deal with it so we can get back to feeling the romantic energies of being loved like teenagers all the rest of our life. So if you understand how you want the relationship to feel, then it's our job, then when it gets off track from that, to get it back, to say, wait, something's going on here. What happened? And so the first thing I would recommend is first having that vision for what you want it to look like when it's healthy, when it's caring, when there's no baggage, there's nothing unspoken that's causing disruption. And then when you see disruptive behaviors come up, you use it as that guidepost. If you have agreement that you both want to have a romantic relationship, then instead of just reacting defensively to when that testing of the fence, testing of the walls comes up, instead of taking it as a personal attack, you say, okay, wait, something's going on here. What's going on in your heart? What brought this up? What's making you react to that? To ask to get to the deeper underlying issues. Because often, and we do the same thing, it's like we'll react to something on the surface without saying explicitly what we're really thinking and feeling. And so the first thing to do is take any of those and respond to them in a way that says, okay, what's really going on here? And how can we use this conversation, whatever it's going to be, to get us back to feeling in love and resolving the conflicts you're feeling? That's the first thing. And so 2 aspects required. Obviously, one is having that vision for what you want it to feel like. But the second one then is to redirect the conversations and say, look, I don't mind getting into this conversation with you, but let's make it our goal is that the purpose of getting through this is to restore us to romantic feelings. And then how can I help you? And of course, as a man, sometimes you balance that off with the woman just needs to express her frustration for the day. And you simply say, that sounds really hard. How can I support you? And that may be all you need to say. But getting it away from us taking it personally, because we feel disempowered. We don't know how to have an honest conversation. We don't know how to, I don't want to say confront, but to stand firm in the face of whatever's coming at us. And in a sense that it doesn't rattle us. It doesn't get us in a disconnected place. So the boundary is first within ourselves to protect our heart and our reaction, to not just take things personally, but to step back and go, there's a reason she's reacting this way. What's really going on, honey? What's behind all this? How can I help you? What's your frustration? And just to reiterate, look, you know my heart is to create great relationship here and to make you feel loved and protected and secured. So how can I get back to that if I missed? Explain to me, what makes you the most happy? How would you like me to respond in this particular situation? The second thing is to learn how to express your desires and your needs. You know, and this is the simplest thing. It's so funny. I was in a relationship with somebody with completely different personality type who was very pragmatic, you know, different love languages, right? So mine are words of affirmation first, physical affection second. And a lot of men are the same way. Man, it's like, just tell me I'm your champion and I will run the hill for you. But to be able to say that gives you what you need. It helps to be able to expressively say, you know, for me, if you could just simply tell me once in a while I'm your hero, thank me for working to bring home money into this household. It makes it all worthwhile to me. And I'll even tell you what I'm needing and looking for. And I used to say to this person, you know, because I'd write these love notes, these little messages, and I'd get almost no response. And because for her love language was acts of service. So in acts of service, she says, words mean nothing. It's what you do. I appreciate what you do. And so I'd ask, did you even get my message? And she'd go, well, of course. Thank you. It was very nice of you. But what really makes me happy is the fact that you thought about me and did this and this and this. So I had to teach her that, listen, for me, if you want me to feel loved, if you want my happiness, I want to know that you want to make me happy. That's important. And I believe that. You know, do you have an intention to say you would like to have your man feel happy and feel loved by you? This is the way it is. So if you don't mind, respond just with a few words. And I remember giving the list of 20 different items. I said, pick one. You can copy and paste. I don't care, because I just need to hear it. It'll feel good coming from you. Just say, thank you so much. That was touching to my heart. You made me smile. Just simple 3 to 5 words. And I said, and if you don't mind, I know it seems silly, like, you know, I'm a mature man and I shouldn't want this, but put a little heart sticker in there, you know, or a smiley face or something, just to add the emotion to it. And it says, yeah, that'll carry me through my day. But I had to be clear about what I wanted and teach it. So I got what I wanted to make me happy, and then wanted to learn what makes her happy. So the boundary here is keeping this, like, remember when you're kids, or you had kids and you went bowling and you'd have them put up the rails for bumper bowling, as we used to call it, you know. And so you'd be able to say, you know, this is where we're going. There's the pins. We're heading down that direction. And when you feel it going off one way or another, where you're feeling unloved or she's feeling unloved, let's figure this out, because I want to make you happy. I want to know that you want to make me happy. Here's what it takes for me to do that. So it takes an awareness. What does it take to make you happy? What would you like the interaction to be like, the exchange to be like, and keep bouncing it back towards that. So in addition to leading in the relationship, it takes you an awareness of what would it look like? What makes you happy? A lot of guys don't even answer that. They haven't figured that out, and they don't know how to specifically ask for it and be calm in a conversation, just to be able to say, this would be great if you could just do this for me. And in addition to that, of course, I like to be able to have things that a couple can do for each other. And I did this in another previous video where I talked about giving, you know, tasks to the woman to say, hey, could you do this for me today? Could you do this for me today? And those little things not only make her feel like she can add value to your life, but then they make you feel loved as well. So the boundaries simply means you have a vision for how it should be. And when it gets off of that, you're very calm and casual and direct about how to redirect it to keep it going in that direction. So when things get overstated, when she's poking the wall and it feels like a personal attack, your boundary is to say, okay, stop for a second. Okay, I know this isn't meant to be a personal attack on me, and I don't want to respond that way. What do I need to do? Obviously, there's something to make you feel loved. What would make you feel most loved here? and let that conversation go in that direction. And always focusing on, let's keep this back, restoring it to a place of where we always have romance as the key of our romantic relationship. And boundaries can be extreme. If there's some point where, as this man said, it was a toxic relationship, I challenged him first, how did you allow it to become that way? And what the question is what was I doing to make it acceptable that certain attitudes, words, behaviors, things were okay? And really it comes down to, especially for nice guys, the compromise. It's like I always used to say to myself, I'll just choose my battles. This one isn't worth fighting. I'll let this one go. I'll choose my battles. But what you're doing is, chip by chip, you're allowing this to become an acceptable way of her interacting with you to get what she wants, which is really just a feeling of love from you, that you hear her and you're attentive so she can relax into it. And when she can realize she's not rattling your cage, you're there to be supportive and you're just listening, and then you're expressing back what you want, you're now on a path to creating that. If you get to a place where she refuses to make you happy, she refuses to stop what feels like overly aggressive, malicious attacks, even though you've described it and you've brought it to a head, then you've got to deal with that. This isn't going to work for me as an ongoing relationship. And that's a hard conversation to have. But you have to have a little respect for yourself. And often what I find, ironically, is when the guy does that and he takes a step back and just says, this isn't going to be acceptable for me going forward. And he takes a step back and she realizes, wow, I could actually lose this guy. All of a sudden the behavior changes and comes back around. And so it's difficult in a marriage to do this because you've made commitments to being together. But it's even more important there to say, look, we made a commitment to each other. Out of this is to my source of romance, is my source of affection, and I want to be that for you. And we need to get back to that basis. So those are my thoughts of encouragement. It's hard to set boundaries, but at the end of the day, if you can't keep it on a track of being a romantic relationship, instead of one of hostile interactions, feeling attacked and belittled, and keeping it in the right direction, then you've got a whole nother set of challenges that you're going to have to make decisions about. But most of the time, most women really do want to feel in love. They want to feel a sense of romance. They want to feel cared for. They want to know that their man is attentive to wanting to keep it on track to maintaining love. And ultimately, that's all anybody really wants. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you in the next one.